Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Ohio State just wrapped up practice number 3. This is Buckeye Huddle daytime, not prime time with Juck. We got Juck here. Was able to watch practice with us today as Ohio State just wrapped up practice number 3 of fall camp. Juck, thoughts on the day? And they went a little longer than the first 2 days. Got some scrimmaging at the end.
They did.
What was your thoughts on everything?
We got some extra bonus scrimmaging at the end. We got the guys all over here taking the pads off. A fantastic day of practice. I thought things looked really crisp for it's day 3. It was definitely a lot more crisp at the end than I would have anticipated. I was, again, and I started on this earlier in the week. I am so impressed by this offensive line. Not just the players, not just but the structure, the way they had it broken down with the 3 offensive line coaches. You had Charlie Dickey in the middle, kind of schooling 2 of them on something, and then you had 2 groups with Tyler Bowen over here, Marcus Johnson over here, and it was just like, man, there is so much more work being done here, so much more personal development going on, in the physical frames, the way these freshmen are moving. Javon McFadden, an amazing day, Mark. They did some one-on-ones. Javon McFadden stonewalled a couple of big-name dudes. And
yeah, we got a great look at the O-line, D-line today with one-on-ones going on. This is the first day that they had done one-on-ones for us. So Javon McFadden had a couple of back-to-back reps where he really just anchored, and that was it. That was the end of that rep. And so really impressive stuff there from the freshman. I thought they got a lot of good things out of a lot of young players. I thought Ian Moore had a very good one-on-one session. He was able to stop. He was able to stonewall Caden Curry on a rep.
He sure did.
Came back the next rep. I think it was Zion Grady on the next rep that he was able to defeat, working at left tackle. I look at this roster right now, and I don't know what the offensive line is going to look like on August 30th against Texas. New guys in new positions. You got 2 new starting tackles, basically a new starting center, though one with experience.
Right.
But it's a new combination, and so getting them to gel and getting that cohesiveness, is that going to be there August 30th versus October 30th? I'm not sure yet. But what I say with some confidence is I think this is the deepest offensive line they've had in a very long time. When they put the 2s in last year in practice, it was a massacre.
I imagine. And
when they put the 2s in this year, you just don't see that drop. You see another 5 capable guys kind of rolling out there.
It's impressive. It really is. And again, I'm someone who was pretty rough on a couple of the evaluations in the recruiting cycles recently. Man, I feel dumb right now. I gotta tell you, these guys look great. They really do. It's an impressive unit. And like you said, it is very deep. The future of the offensive line looks really, really good at Ohio State. And that's where it all starts. I love it. It's just fantastic to see. It really is.
Defensive line, that's an interesting situation right now because Edric Houston not practicing again today. Although I will say this about Edric, he was jogging back and forth. Yesterday it was like a kind of a walk, but it was not. It was a very cautious walk.
Okay.
Back and forth, inside to outside. This, today he was jogging a little bit. The tempo was up. The energy was up a little bit.
The energy,
he looks like he's going to be just fine.
He was saying hello. He fist bumped you on the way out. Yeah. He's in good spirits. He certainly doesn't look like somebody who's going to be out for any length of time. That's for sure.
So, but with that said, Tywan Malone was actually the guy who took the 1 reps when they went to the scrimmage period. He was the first guy out there with the 1s alongside Caden McDonald, of course. So that's what they're rolling with right now. Will Smith is trying to push. We'll see. There wasn't much said about him in the spring. Lately, there's been a little more buzz.
There has.
What, just your thoughts on what you saw out of that interior today? Just, again, with Edric out, even more guys getting opportunities to roll with the 1s and 2s.
Yeah, so the good news was we had the offensive line and the defensive line right in front of us, so we got to watch kind of all of their stuff. I really think that Will Smith Jr., we started hearing this buzz coming from Big Ten Media Days. A couple of might have been Ryan Day and Sonny Styles both had mentioned Will Smith Jr., and I was kind of wondering, sometimes we know that Will has to be that guy after Caden McDonald. There really isn't any other option unless they go a different route. schematically, but were they just saying that because he kind of has to be that guy and we're letting him know publicly, like, we support you, you got to be the guy? Or were they really seeing him emerge? Was it, is that what's really going on? I don't think I saw much today that would, make me lean one way or the other out of Will. But I will say I was really happy to see the energy out of Kenyatta Jackson. He's the guy that I think we all know, like, look, that's the guy that can step up and potentially lead this unit. And man, did he ever. He's got the juice. They were all fired up. I mean, it's a unit that doesn't look like they're worried. They don't look like they feel like they're the weak link on the team and the things that, worried about the interior depth, et cetera. Like they look ready to roll. I feel a lot more confident having watched this than I did previously. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, my thing, I think, with the D-line is I think their top 5 or 6 are tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we're going to see the drop-off from last year that maybe some people are anticipating with that. But you got to have 8 in today's game with the longer seasons and the big games they're going to be playing and everything else. And I think that's going to be the interesting story of camp is, okay, the top 5 or 6, really good. Who's going to step up and be like 6, 7, 8, 9? Like, who is going to be that second wave? And it's going to be interesting. Jason Moore did a couple nice things today. Had a knockdown at the line of scrimmage. Being 6'5", 6'6", it's a hilariously big defensive tackle. Was able to get those arms up and make some things happen there in the middle of the formation. To your point on Kenyatta, who I thought had a really good practice today, there's something about him that just people are going to almost be angry that he didn't play more, I think, the last couple of years, even though he's playing behind some NFL guys.
Yep.
But just today, one example of how his day went, they brought Brandon Innes across the formation, and Kenyatta was able to jump out and get a jam on Innes, really toss him. He really knocked him off his pattern there. Then he was able to chase a rolling Julian Sayin out to the right, all the way to about the sideline, realized that he wasn't going to get there, and Sayin had to kind of throw it away basically, but he had peeled back into the flats, and had the ball been completed into the flats, he would have been able to make that tackle. So it was just an unbelievable display of like fluidity, athleticism, and instincts on display. Just that was just one example of his day. I thought he was really, really good. It was a good look today at the O-line and the D-line.
One thing that we both noticed as well on that defensive line is it appears like, Zion Grady is going to get an opportunity here. I think we're going to see, they're going to be feeding him some reps early on to see what he can do. We've heard that they're really fond of him, and boy, he looks really, really good. So I think we're going to be able to get to see that early and see him out there in maybe game 2, game 3, Grambling, Ohio, and see what he can do, which I'm kind of excited about. Yeah,
it feels like they're giving him every opportunity to earn a spot on like the second level, the second team defensive line. And whether he takes that or not, yet to be seen, but they're definitely throwing him out there in highly competitive situations against the 1s, against the 2s, and trying to see what he can do. Because they really like his upside. I think they like what they've seen of him so far in terms of the way he carries himself, and he's kind of the thing you always hear him talk about, like when the guys come in, the freshmen come in, is kind of who is already kind of handling themselves like a pro. Right. And that's been something we've been hearing about Zion as well. So we'll see kind of what that leads to. I think this is a huge camp for Dominic Kirks. We were talking about that earlier. He flashed at times today. And the one thing we mentioned earlier was if Zion Grady proves to be a guy who can be a depth guy early, and if Dominic Kirks proves to be a guy who can be a depth guy this year, I think everyone feels a lot better about the defensive end room kind of moving forward. Yeah.
The interesting thing about Kirks, somebody who, even the whole recruitment process, not really talked about, has flown under the radar the whole time he's been here. You don't never hear anybody bring him up. But when they had the spring game in here, they had that little the little scrimmage kind of game. Was the student appreciation.
Yes. Yep.
He really flashed in the student appreciation a couple times, and he looked good again today. He certainly got the size. But Painesville kid, I really like him. I always liked him coming out of high school. So exciting, I think. Exciting. But yeah, you're right. If you see those two guys really stepping it up, maybe it's not all doom and gloom on the defensive end moving forward.
Yeah, moving on to some other things. Brandon Innes just walked behind us. Boy, was he noticeable today.
He's electric.
He caught a lot of passes today. His energy is obviously infectious. This is a guy who we've talked about before, like Jeremiah Smith is going to see some very exotic looks against him this fall. That middle of the field with Brandon Innes and Max Clare, those guys have a chance to really catch a lot of footballs this year.
Rack up a lot of balls for sure. And, we were talking quite a while. Okay, what kind of numbers are we thinking here? Who could potentially lead the team in receptions? I think we put it's about 50. We'll take the over on 50 for BI. Yeah. But man, I'll tell you, he looks electric, noticeably faster. You could see it kind of on the clips that were coming out. But man, seeing it in person, it was wow. I was really impressed. Just a lot of juice to BI.
Yep. And again, the defense back to kind of there. Caleb Downs playing a lot of nickel, which again gets them a 3 safety look. They get Jalen McClain out there with Malik Hartford. If they're able to do that, if the trust is there in McClain and Hartford to be able to do that and move Downs kind of around for matchup purposes or whatever it may be, this is a very unique secondary if that's the case.
I'm kind of embarrassed that none of us thought of this as a potential. Like nobody brought this up all off season,
right?
And you see it, and it's like, oh yeah, this makes a lot of sense here. And yeah, they lined up first thing right off the rip when they put the first team defense up. That's what it was. It was Caleb out there right in nickel right away. So it certainly seems like this could potentially be something that they're planning on doing. Like they're not just playing around. Who knows, but. It definitely looked good. I watched him totally lock down Quincy Porter today, like he was a shutdown corner, which is like, the dude's got
big time college football,
6 inches
Quincy.
on him. Yeah, just lock him down.
Yep.
He's just obviously there's nothing he cannot do at a high level.
Yep. Kevin, we got a super chat.
GDJ just became a member of the channel.
Oh,
why don't you explain how you can become a member of the channel?
Yes. So we have channel memberships now. If you guys haven't seen, it's 99 cents a month. It's not a big expense. It's just a way to support the channel, help us out. As we do all these live shows and all this coverage throughout the season as we get started here. And so what you get is you get like little emojis, you get shout outs from us, obviously, but you also get, I think they rank the posters and things like that. And you also get little badges that kind of show you're a channel member and, kind of thanks you for your support. And the longer you're a member, the more you get. So you start with like a little Buckeye Huddle logo, but you can work your way up. And there's some other ones. I'm not going to tell you what they all are because channels haven't been up long enough, or the memberships haven't been up long enough to even know what the end game is yet. So you guys got to wait and find out. We got to let someone get there first.
Let him marinate.
Yeah. But so you get a little new badge for it's like 1 month, and then it's like I think it's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. So as you go along, and YouTube just came out with I think a 24-month option. So we're gonna find something to use for the 24-month option as well. But so you get a little badge, kind of shows that you're a channel member. And again, just again, 99 cents. We're not going to charge an arm and a leg for that, but it does help the channel if you're able to do that. So be sure to check that out. Downs back to playing nickel. Again, I think that obviously Caleb's got the skill set to do just about anything he wants to do on a football field.
Sure.
Play offense, play special teams, but I think that shows you how they feel about Jalen McClain.
Yes,
because they don't want him getting blocked by the veterans right now. I think I think it really gives you more insight into how they feel about Jalen McClain.
That's first thought I had. By the way, Iron Buckeye, Jalen McClain.
Yes.
Which is incredibly impressive. A guy that comes in as a 3-star no-name kind of throw-in the class and plays a lot as a freshman and looks like, man, this dude's got a little something special to him. Matt Guerreri raves about him, everything he's done to put on weight, and just kind of reminds him of Downs and a little bit of the way he goes about his business. And it's really cool to see that, it looks like they're trying to make sure they get him on the field. In between him and Hartford locking it down. By the way, freshman Fahim Delane looks the part. Man.
That's my guy. Look, I have told people I think this is a better prospect even than Lathan Ransom was coming out of high school, and I think he's a future star. So far, so good.
Yeah.
There will be a time, I'm sure, where the freshman wall happens. It
Mhm.
happens to everybody. But yeah, he has been a guy I've been wildly impressed by ever since I saw him his junior year. I first saw him his junior year of high school. I said this in my notes, practice one, but Riley Pettijohn, again, looking like
Silly.
a third-year player.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of run with the twos.
Mm-hmm.
The depth at linebacker under James Laurinaitis. Again, they moved Cade Stover
Right.
to play linebacker in a Rose Bowl.
The
Not that
speed.
long ago. It's not that
Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember that.
Right.
And like now it's like, my goodness, your twos like Peyton Pierce and Riley Pettijohn. You got TJ Alford in the threes. Like, how is this the same linebacker room?
The speed with which he flipped that room and made it like, oh, this is one of the best rooms in the country. Just ho-hum casually. I mean, I think we all knew he could do it, had the potential to do it, but just to watch it happen, amazing. And it just keeps on rolling as we roll into a couple of prospects, Ohio prospects that you and I both really like. And Sincere Johnson and CJ Sana in the class of 2026. It's really awesome to have linebacker you back. I think that we're going to get there.
Yep. Then you get into like some of the freshmen like Bo Jackson.
Oh, listen.
Was like Turbo Rogers had a tremendous day yesterday. Today it looked like Bo Jackson had a good day. I know people can like look. It's really hard to replace Henderson and Judkins. I mean, those were were they the two first back? No, they were the two of the first 4 or 5 running backs taken in the draft. I mean, and going in the second round is almost being a first round pick if you're a running back with how that position is valued these days. So I'm not going to sit here and say like the running backs there's going to be zero drop off. It may even be better. I'm not going to go nuts on that, but watching like a Bo Jackson and a Turbo Rogers already be able to do some things, and then seeing like James Peoples and CJ Donaldson both had nice runs today in scrimmage, it does feel like running back still in pretty good shape.
I love this room. I think that Bo is in today. I thought so before, but seeing him today out here with my own eyes in person, special. Bo is special, and we're going to see Bo this year quite a bit. CJ Donaldson is massive.
It's a big boy.
My gosh. You can see it. See it in a picture, see it on a stat sheet, but that is an enormous dude. This is a really good looking room, by the way. Isaiah West, I maintain, criminally underrated, and he's going to be a fan favorite at Ohio State at some point as well.
Dealing with some stuff right now, so they'll get him out there, get him up to speed as they can. But
you think we got a super chat from Kevin?
Yeah,
it's about what you're talking about. Omar Austin, how do the backup running backs look?
Yeah. So if we grant you that James Peoples and CJ Donaldson are kind of interchangeable, and we go a little deeper into the roster, I think Sam Dixon. I mean, he's only going by Samuel Dixon now on the roster. I thought Sam Dixon's showed some stuff here this last few days. So I think he's been solid, but I really like Bo Jackson, and I do wonder how quickly he takes hold of that third running back spot, or kind of how they massage that with Sam Williams-Dixon. But I like the depth. I think Turbo gives them a different dimension, and it's something that this is a position you can play early. We've seen it.
Absolutely.
We've seen it so many times at Ohio State over the years. You can go out there and make an impact. It doesn't have to be 25 carries a game, like old school Maurice Clarett stuff, but you can go out there. There's no reason Turbo Rogers can't go out there, catch a couple screens,
for sure,
jet sweep, whatever it might be. And so I particularly am less concerned about running back depth now than I was, maybe a month or two ago.
Exactly. Bo is electric. Turbo is electric. I think Isaiah West is a workhorse, and we haven't seen anything out of him yet, but just seeing him up close in person, like, yeah, man, that's a dude right there. I love the state of the linebacker room. I love the state of the running back room. Like, both rooms feel really just a lot different than they did a year or two ago. Just totally rebuilt, championship quality kind of rooms. That's how it feels to me.
More super chats.
We're starting to stack them up.
Oh,
here.
my.
Ryan Dawes, CJ Donaldson compliment James Peoples at running back.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Yeah, James is Dobbins-esque in terms of his low to the ground, compact build, quick, explosive. And CJ's just that big workhorse. I think when I think of this team, and I want to stick to your point, but I'm going to branch off a little bit. When I think of this team, I look at like a CJ Donaldson, but then I also look at like a Max Clare. The red zone possibilities here. This is a team that should be very effective inside the 20, given the combinations they have, the size. You've got a guy like Jeremiah on the outside, Max Clare at tight end. You got a big running back like Donaldson. James Peoples, probably only about 5'10", but runs very low to the ground, very strong.
Powerful.
Maybe extremely powerful kid.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? I love the 1-2 there.
Yeah, a plethora of options inside the 20 for sure. But no, I think that I don't know that you could find a better 1-2 that complement each other. I mean, it's just perfect. I really am excited because CJ Donaldson at West Virginia, when they first, got him in from the transfer portal, I'm thinking, okay, serviceable, but, nothing I'm super excited about. But the physical transformation going from 243 to 225, he not only looks much better, but watching him in the spring game, a noticeably different speed, just a different tempo to his run. His gait even looked different. Now I'm really excited about him, and I think these two are going to be total dogs.
Yeah, he looks faster.
Yeah.
He looked faster out there today than I recall seeing him in the spring. He broke into the secondary on one and broke a long run, and just looks to be in very good shape right now. We got
3 in the queue.
Oh, my.
Mike Marino, how have the defensive tackles look?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit, but I know you guys are probably still rolling in here. No Edric Houston today. We did mention he was jogging today, though, which is a good sign, obviously, just a couple days after this. I thought Caden McDonald made some noticeable plays. Jason Moore was a guy that jumped out a little bit, had a PBU, got his hands up, knocked the ball down at the line of scrimmage. Will Smith's been out there getting good reps in. Who am I missing anybody?
Time alone,
to
me, stood out of that group. Today, I think is maybe having the best day of that group to me. But honestly, nothing great. As we go through all the groups here that we've talked about, there's nothing there that really stands out to me as like I'm going to hang my hat on that. Nothing that makes me feel super awesome about that particular area, which is obviously the area of concern for us, is that depth there behind Edric and K-Mac. But hey, K-Mac's fantastic, and we know Edric is too, and he was jogging today. That's the good news.
Yeah. So it wasn't a day where there was maybe a special performance,
right?
But I didn't walk away from practice being like, oh boy, that defensive tackle situation. It was just one of those days where it was kind of a win some lose some, I think, for those guys. Again, we saw a little bit of flash from Jason Moore, Tywan Malone getting some work with the ones, which is nice. Just there may be, and I always hate to say this about injuries, there may be an unintended benefit of Edric missing a week or two of practice, and that is enhanced competition for those backup defensive tackle spots. Now they're getting thrown in with ones more, and so there's going to be opportunities here for guys to step up at that defensive tackle spot. And then I very much like the defensive end situation. I think they're fine this year. Now we can get into the long-term situation on that. And again, as we just mentioned earlier, I think the progress of Dominic Kirks and Zion Grady this year will go a long way in dictating people's stress levels about the long term. But for now, for this year, I think they're set on the edge. I think they're in good shape.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too.
Omar Austin again. Will Coach Hart call plays from the sideline or the booth this season?
I believe it's going to be the sideline, but I don't think they've decided that yet.
They've not yet. No,
they've not yet announced that officially, but that would be my fate. Yeah, like that would be my guess, but that is just a guess at this point. I just know Hartline, his personality is such that he's going to be wanting to be able to pull a Carnell Tate or a Brandon Ennis aside in the middle of the game, and whether it's instruction or just any, what are you seeing without, going through all the process of being on the headset with him. He's a guy who has spent his life on a football field. It just, I think that's going to be his preference. And then we'll see what they come to, they'll have to come to a consensus on that.
I have a really hard time see it. I think he's probably very much fighting this, even if they want to put him upstairs.
Yeah.
But, it's funny. I just, this discussion last year with Chip, when Chip first came in, he wasn't sure about it. He said, I've done both. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
people got some strong opinions about this. They want the OC in the booth. I mean,
Yep.
I remember doing a show and people get mad about it, but I think Hartline's going to definitely push as hard as he can to be on the sideline. I mean, that's a guy who wants to coach football, not sitting in a vanilla box.
Yeah, that is gonna be interesting, I think, to see kind of how that shakes out. But there's no formal announcement. That's just me kind of reading the situation, I guess, a little bit, just knowing Hartline and his background a little bit. And again, he's a fiery guy, so I think it could be hard to keep him up there. But we'll see what they decide. They'll obviously do what's best for the team.
Another super chat from Harris. How did Epi look today on the D line?
Oh.
Awesome among the freshmen. Yeah, he had some really good. We're going to get to some more freshmen here later in the show, so I'm glad you brought him up. He did flash today quite a bit, one-on-ones. He's big.
He's big.
He's got a lot. He's still got some room to fill out, but
For sure.
But he's big. I mean, he's like what 6'4", 6'5",
Yep.
240 right now. I mean, he's got some size to him. He's got some length to him. He's got some bend, which is important because some of these bigger guys, they don't bend well, and then you may have to move him inside. And he bends. He's flexible. I thought he's had a strong 3 day. Like, he's been consistently good. Like a lot of the freshmen, it's like one day they're good, the next day you don't really realize they're out there, and then the next day they're good again. It's a roller coaster a lot of the times for the true freshmen. But
he missed spring as well. Yeah.
But for him to come in, and that's why I was so impressed about Turbo yesterday, is missing spring too. But for him to come in, he has been better than I expected so far, just this early.
Yeah, physically a unit, and he does got plenty of room on that frame to fill out even more. What he's put on some weight from the time, the last we saw when he committed it. Like, he's put on some weight already. He just looks like he's at some point going to be a real force out there. But if it happens sooner than later, I wouldn't be stunned.
Yeah, and we should have thrown him in with Kirks and Grady in terms of like the future.
Yeah.
Like, if those 3 flash this year, I think everyone feels, not that recruiting defensive ends isn't still going to be at the forefront of people's minds, but I think people are going to feel a little bit better about like what the outlook is next year, even though it's kind of ridiculous to be talking about next year because we have to start this year. But,
right.
But you guys are super fans. You look 2-3 years in the future. It's what you guys do. It's what we all do for teams that we like. So, I think they've got some possibilities there. It's going to be fascinating to see how many of those possibilities we're able to get. We're able to see something this year, maybe a preview.
Yeah. And I like you said, I mean, that's 3 potential options right there. If 2 of them pop, I think just that alone, we're feeling much better about the future.
Yep.
A little traffic control, and then back to the super chat.
Yep.
We're going to tag Tom and Tony in on this same stream. So that way we can keep our 400 people who are here happy.
Yes.
Get it all on one stream.
Yeah.
Yes, we will eventually bring. Not yet, because of course you guys would rather talk to us than them. But so we'll make sure they get a couple minutes at the end. But gotta let the stars eat here, right? So don't.
We do have like 3 more super chats at least.
Oh my goodness.
It looks to me like Lincoln spent the whole off season in the weight room.
Yeah, Lincoln Keenholz is significantly bigger. And that's just, I guess, the product of really kind of having that extra year. I mean, he comes in late the first year. He's never been like a guy who specializes. He's always, summers he's playing baseball, then he's, in the winters he's on the basketball floor. And so having this second year to kind of really focus on his body has definitely made him a much stronger player. Now, what does that mean for what Ohio State's looking to do? I don't know if I'm sure they asked him to bulk up. I think they want the QB run to be part of this offense still. You got it with Will Howard. He was so big, he was able to kind of take some of that punishment. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of with Julian being a little bit on the slighter side compared to Lincoln, kind of how that plays itself out in fall camp.
Yeah, I would say that definitely you want Lincoln to be a little beefier and kind of lean into that athleticism and sturdy himself up, and he goes out, wins the Iron Buckeye. So I'm sure he definitely spent quite a bit of time in the gym. That they don't, I think 6 guys this period won it. I think maybe 6 or 8. But yeah, he's just he's an excellent athlete. It's really fun to watch. If we want to get into quarterbacks, Mark, I don't think he had the best day.
No,
go ahead. Julian definitely today was pretty on point, pretty smooth. The offense looked pretty good with him running it. Little clunkier with Lincoln today.
Yeah, if I were like scoring this on like let's call the first 3 days like boxing rounds, I would probably have given Lincoln the first round. I probably would have been a draw yesterday. I thought it was fairly close. I didn't think anyone really popped. And then today I would have given it to Julian. But today is probably the most important. They did way more scrimmaging today. They did a lot of 11-on-11 best on best type stuff today. Not so much the first 2 days. So that was, I don't want to say eye-opening because it's still so early in camp, and Ryan Day would tell you if you were on here right now, like they haven't done anything yet. But it was interesting to me that as things have gotten more competitive, that Julian has kind of maybe improved or elevated himself a little bit from where he was, when camp started the other day.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think you'd find anybody who watched practice today who wouldn't say that Julian, it might have been a 10-8 round.
Yeah.
Put it that way. Yeah, it was about a 10-8 round.
Like, I've had a hard time separating them the first 2 days. Like I said, I would have went toward Lincoln day one, but it wasn't like significant to me. And then I thought yesterday was kind of too close to call. But yeah, I think that was a clear win today for Julian. But so I guess quarterback, it's going to dominate the discussion this month.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this right now? Because there's some scary elements to it, but yet it's like, when's the last time Ryan Day didn't put out a productive quarterback?
I'm not too awfully concerned. I mean, but I think a lot of that goes back to just I've been a big time believer in Julian since he was a high school prospect. Everything about his story I love. The dude was born to be a quarterback. He's been training for this since he was a little kid, right? I mean, there are just the one thing is his slight build. That's it. Everything else, perfect.
Yep.
He's just perfect. He's like the perfect thing. You perfect prodigy. So to me, when it comes to Ryan Day and what we know he likes in a quarterback, not what he values most in a quarterback is a guy that specializes in what Julian's saying can do well. And that's why I think ultimately, while Lincoln could outplay him, and yes, he could win it. It is a real competition. The fact that if he outplays him, he can win it. But I just think, in the end, this is really an uphill battle for Lincoln.
Yeah, I think Julian is the guy right now who's certainly out in front and is the odds-on favorite to be the guy. They just need. Look, it'd be great if you could have a superstar, and maybe Julian is going to be that at some point. But this team with number 4 and number 2 on defense, you just need your quarterback to manage the game, to make good decisions. Don't turn the ball over. Throw the ball away instead of taking a sack. Just do the things that keep your offense on schedule, because you have so many guys who can take it 70 yards. You have running backs who can do it. You have 3 or 4 receivers who can do it. We haven't even talked about Mylan Graham yet, who I think is going to be a star here, but is probably their 4th receiver this year. Well, definitely their 4th receiver this year. Like, just the quarterback's just got to drive the bus. He doesn't need to do everything else.
That's it. So, he's got to be good. Doesn't got to be great.
Yep.
The most boring thing Day says all the time, right? Do the routine things routinely.
Yep.
That's all he's got to do.
Yep.
The weapons are just ridiculous.
Yep. More super chats.
Let's go rapid fire on these next couple ones.
Yep.
City 12 asking, how does Devin Sanchez look?
So I love Devin Sanchez. I love his game. He got beat by Jeremiah today on a deep ball. He got beat by Carnell on really a beautiful throw by Julian Sayin on day 1. But the thing about Devin is those things will happen to him, and then he'll come back and he'll beat Carnell Tate on a rep, or he'll beat Jeremiah, or he'll beat, whoever's Mylan Graham, whoever's in front of him. I thought Devin has really had a good first 3 days. I think it's going to be impossible to keep him off the field. I think he's going to play quite a bit this year.
I I mean, corners are going to get beat. Devin's got
Especially
the
with these
mentality.
receivers.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? That's why he came here, right?
Yep.
So, obviously, he's just a phenom, and I'm totally with you. They're not going to be able to keep him off the field. You can't waste a year of him. He's that good.
Yeah.
But as for today, yeah, I mean, like Mark said, there was a couple of, but
getting beat
he's
by
learning.
Jeremiah Smith's not exactly a deal breaker on getting to play football, getting out there on the field.
All right, two more. Woody's asking, is Hicks moving around or just playing defensive end?
He's just been playing edge.
I just saw him at edge
we
today.
just saw him at edge today. That's all we saw. I'll say this. I don't know. I'm not going to make any promises on how this is going to look once the season starts. I don't know if CJ is going to have a breakout type of season. It's too early to call on that. But he's got some juice. He's got some speed to him coming off the edge. He's gotten really good at his get off and just getting that first step toward the quarterback. And he brings a little bit of a different element in terms of his speed. So it will be interesting to see if that can truly translate into on-field production this fall. But yeah, they're giving him every opportunity right now to play defensive end.
Yeah, I've kind of been of the mindset that this is not going to be something that's going to be a huge impact on this defense with CJ Hicks. But I got to say, look really, really good today.
Yeah.
Got to give him his props.
Last one before we tag the other guys in. How are the O tackles looking? And congrats, Juck, from Cameron.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Obviously, a wonderful opportunity, and the guys couldn't have been better. Really cool experience for me today. But they look fantastic. Ethan Onyanwa, not just a specimen, but I watched him just when they're warming up, and he just, he's pulling and the speed, the way this man moves at that size. I've never seen that in person. It was something scary, man. It was something. So he looks fantastic. I thought Philip Daniels looked really, really good. We talked about Ian Moore. He had a really good day. Carter Lowe looks really good. I'm telling you, we got a bright future here with the offensive line.
Yeah, the offensive tackles right now are looking like they could be. The depth could be a strength there this year, which again is kind of Twilight Zone type stuff. But I'm a huge fan of Ian Moore, and he's gonna be able to work at both left and right if needed. He's been cross-trained ever since he's got here. Again, we talked about him earlier. He had a great one-on-one session today. Ian Moore he stonewalled Caden Curry, came right back against Zion Grady, did the same thing. This was working at left tackle. So they have some really good options there. Ethan Onyanwa, I was talking to someone who was actually here who does a lot of work with the NFL scouts and stuff like that. He told me, he said, Ethan Onyanwa was definitely on the radar there and is going to be an NFL draft pick next year. So they've got some pieces here. It's just about, again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, cohesiveness. How quickly can you get two new tackles and everyone else on the same page? But I think by the end of September, this offensive line is going to look pretty good.
It's going to be a unit, and I'm a big believer in Tyler Bowen and the whole system. I love it.
The three coaches thing is awesome.
It's great.
We apologize. We have to give it to Tony and Tom now. So sorry in advance, everyone.
Thanks, guys. We're going to tag team our guys.
Here you go.
It's like the baton pass in a 4x400.
All right. So thank you, Mark. Thank you, Juck. Welcome, everybody, to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Orr. Tom, how's it going?
This is as close as we've gotten to a real live post-game show in quite a while, where it's a live show where, Mark is handing it over to us, where we just got a chance to watch something that consequential in person. So sort of limbering up those post-game show muscles a little bit.
Yeah, I have nothing to add from what Mark and Juck said. So,
all right. So thank you guys for joining us.
No, this was a longer practice than we've gotten. First two practices were 2 hours and 15 periods. This one was like 18 and about 245-ish, and more 11 on 11, more 7 on 7, certainly more 11 on 11, I think, than we've seen before, which was good for the fans, because there were more fans here today, obviously, because it was not a work day and they were able to take it all in. And I'm just going to assume what has already been talked about is that Julian Sayin had the better day today, because I think that is the consensus. And he also closed well. I think just watching him in that final 11 on 11, I think it was 4 for 4, 5 for 5 with the ones, and then Lincoln Keynotes followed him up with the second team, and he was maybe like 1 for 5 or so. But before that, Lincoln had the ones, and so they were switching back over and over. But I think Julian was more accurate. Lincoln had some issues today, and I'm guessing that's the consensus.
That has been, when I sort of talked to some other beat folks, that's sort of where I think a lot of them sort of landed on the day. That's certainly where I landed on the day. And that has not been the case every day. There was, right. I think day 1, there were some people who thought Lincoln was better. Day 2, there were people who, you could kind of get people who had both opinions on day 2. Day 3, Saturday, it feels like Sayin was kind of came out ahead, was kind of the consensus. And not just based on the stuff at the end. There was a throwing drill they were doing where they were throwing from like the 40-yard line or so on the far hash and basically trying to drop it in the bucket for a receiver right on the goal line. Sayin was just more consistent on that, where you're aiming for the goal line and it's on about the goal line. It's a yard short, it's a little yard long. Lincoln Keynotes was just a little bit more, the range was a little bit bigger. Hey, this one was a couple yards into the end zone. This was maybe a couple yards short. He's not throwing it out the back of the end zone or anything, but it was just a little bit tighter kind of grouping for Julian Sayin.
Yeah, just overall, I thought he was in more control and was even on his inaccurate throws, he was more accurate than on Lincoln's inaccurate throws, because he had some throws Lincoln did that were, not just late, but behind over the middle on a crossing route, which could be
that's
very bad
news.
Danger.
That's
right.
Danger. Will Robinson,
especially when somebody gets like the receiver Bryson Rogers, like gets a hand on the ball and pops it up. Like those are the throws that you really have to avoid. And and then Tavian St. Clair doing what he can, but it's clearly a 2-person race, as Ryan Day has continued to say, and as we have continued to say. But
Tavian St. Clair, just real quickly, the tools are there. The arm strength is there. You can just see the game is moving fast for him right now. And he's a true freshman. The game should be moving fast for him right now. We constantly hear guys talk about in their second year, hey, everything's really slowing down for me now. I'm sure Tavian St. Clair will get there. You can just see in everything he's doing on the field in those 11-on-11s, even against the second team defense, it's still moving a little quickly for him.
I thought one of the cooler things, and I just tweeted this out, is that we've been here with the fans for 3 days. The amount of like dads and kids pointing out Jeremiah Smith and talking about Jeremiah Smith totally reminds me of when, as a kid, I would get to go to Chicago to watch the Bulls and Michael Jordan, and you're like, in the Chicago Stadium, you're like looking way down, like that's Michael Jordan. The way that the hushed tones are like then the excitement, like that's Jeremiah Smith, and kids like, where? And dad's like right there, and it's like, oh, so that's very cool.
Yeah, looks like we have a super chat.
We do, bro. Ratu, do we see less handsiness from IGB?
He's been very good.
He has been. Davis Igbinosun has had a very good camp, and
he lets everybody know it.
Right. Well, he plays corner, so yes, that sort of comes with it. I think he is in for a real step forward kind of year for Ohio State, because you got to remember this is his 3rd season at Ohio State now, and he came in and was not probably quite ready for where he was asked to be a couple of years ago. Last season, he was a lot better, and I think he sort of is suffering a little bit from the reputation of the first year, where then you see a pass interference call, it's, oh, here we go again. And that's not necessarily fair to him, because he also had, I go back to the end of that first half against Penn State, that interception, that was one of the plays of the year. And you don't necessarily see that and go, are you going to see more of that? Or it's kind of more like, oh boy, you see more of this. And, he's going to be a physical corner. You can be a physical corner. Matt Patricia talked about that on Friday with us.
Yeah, no, don't just, it's the grabbing when you don't need to grab that they don't want, but he's been very, very good. We can stick with the corners right now. We saw Jermaine Matthews play a little bit inside. He's still, he's done that in the past. Saw Bryce West move outside. He's been in the slot for most of his first year plus at Ohio State. So, and he had a very good day outside.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Sanchez, of course, playing outside as well. He had an interception of Tavian St. Clair. He also had a welcome to college football moment where he's lined up against Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith, runs 9, just goes just a streak down the sideline. I don't think there's no double move or whatever. It's different when you try to turn and run with Jeremiah, and Jeremiah had him by a couple of yards, and the ball got dropped in, right to him for a touchdown. That's just many. We saw a lot of good corners and defensive backs having that happen to them last year. So don't take it personally.
A lot of corners who are not true freshmen are going to have that happen to them this year. So yes, I would not read that as any kind of a concern. He had an interception today, Devin Sanchez. I mean, he's coming along. He's right where you'd want him to be as a true freshman corner. Not every true freshman is going to be 2024 Jeremiah Smith. That's just all the dads and kids are talking in hushed tones about Jeremiah Smith because no one else does that. Right. So Devin Sanchez is right on track for where I think they need him to be, would want him to be. And the depth at corner, man, the defensive backfield on the whole, this looks like a really good secondary this year where they're going to have a lot of good options. And we saw a lot of different combinations of guys. And you mentioned guys going inside and outside. We've seen a lot of Caleb Downs at nickel. We saw that at one point they were running a dime, and Caleb Downs was at nickel, and Lorenzo Stiles was at dime, and they had twos on the outside of corner. It was Aaron Scott and Bryce West on the outside of corner at that point. But you're looking at this stuff, and at that point the safeties are Jalen McClain and Malik Hartford, and so you're looking at you could run like a 3 safety defense. Yeah, you could run you could run that as a nickel and have Caleb Downs be a nickel. But this is the stuff that Matt Patricia was talking about on Friday in terms of not being predictable with, hey, if it's Caleb Downs and Jalen McClain, that means this thing. And if it's Caleb Downs and it's Malik Hartford, it means that thing.
Yeah, and Bryce West at corner makes them even deeper there. Kevin, Super Chat.
Ryan Dawes. Who is the key to success for Sayan? Jeremiah Smith or Max Clair?
Who is the key to success for Julian Sayan, Jeremiah Smith, and Max Clair? Here's something today. Well, Jeremiah Smith, but also the lifeline. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is Max Clair, that sort of thing. Max Clair was pretty quiet today, and some of the other tight ends weren't, but they weren't necessarily going against Ohio State's first team defense. But what I will say, they ran 2 tight end screens to Max Clair. The first time Sonny Styles blew it up. The second time Arvell Reese blew it up. And I'm thinking Max Clair is probably going in his mind, I'm not here to run screens against the Ohio State linebackers. Send me down the field. This is BS.
Yeah, I'm guessing practice was probably easier for Max Clair last year against the Purdue defense and against the Ohio State defense this year. Can I take secret option C in the pass game? James Peoples. The running backs, it's so hard to judge running backs in this kind of setting where it's just it's 90% thud. And, would the running back have broken that tackle? Well, I don't know. They blew it dead because the guy got kind of close to him. Man, there's some speed, there's some wiggle, there's a whole lot in that Ohio State running back room to like. And it's James Peoples, it's CJ Donaldson, it's Sam Williams-Dixon, it's Bo Jackson, it's Turbo Rogers. We haven't seen a whole lot of Isaiah West because he's still kind of been banged up. But I just said 5 names before I got to Isaiah West, and there's a lot to work with there. And I think you're going to see the running backs used a lot in that passing game as well. So, and with all that said, Ethan Onyanwa might also be an important part of Julian Sayan and the secret weapon, because if you can keep that pocket clean for him, that makes your life so much easier as a first-year starter quarterback.
Yeah, and so I was looking to see the catch of the day also answers this question.
Is it grouper?
No, it is not. No, not halibut. And yes, I did once see a fishing hat that said, I fished just for the halibut. So
I like it.
Thank you for derailing the show.
As a dad, I can approve. Yes.
But the catch of the day from Jeremiah Smith, it was a throw down the sideline from Julian Sayan, underthrown, and Bryce West had good coverage, and Jeremiah Smith just puts his left arm like down here around. It'll be on Twitter. Like Ohio State will have to post this.
Yeah.
But reaches his left arm around, cradles it, falls to the ground, catches the ball. a pass that shouldn't have been completed, but here comes the security blanket to make everything warm and inviting, and then he gets up and just fires the ball about 40 yards into the end zone. No flags, home refs here.
Yeah, right. Well, listen, this is the, if you do something that cool, you should get to celebrate in a way that you don't normally. Right. So yeah, sure, absolutely. It's I think it was Jim Otis when they scored to make it 50-14 against Michigan in 1968. He punted the ball into the stands, and it's like, well, sorry, you got the just scored 50 points against Michigan exception to the penalty rule there. Yeah, Jeremiah Smith is going to do just the remarkable stuff that Jeremiah Smith did last year, and how can they possibly live up to what Will Howard did last year? Like, well, Will Howard benefited significantly from having Jeremiah Smith on his team last year as well.
Kevin.
Yeah, Mike Farino. How has Bo Atkinson looked? Haven't heard much on him, I feel.
Bo Atkinson did have at least one sack today. It's in my notes. I've got a lot of notes. I can't read most of them. A lot of them require, like, I could run them through like a decipher thing. Like,
needed Rosetta Stone to get.
Yeah, it's not good. There's just a lot of, even doctors look at this and go like, that's bad.
It looks like hieroglyphics. It's bird, eye, guy going like this.
So I don't know. I don't know who it was against, but like, I think the DNs all flashed at some point today. I know I was watching, I wasn't able to see as much on the defensive line as you. I think you were closer, but I heard CJ Hicks had a pretty decent day as well. And, and it's just also interesting to watch Kenyatta Jackson just lead everybody around and like, just he's got a command presence about him with this team right now.
Yeah. Well, he's constantly looks like he's having a very good time. Like, he's got a smile on his face a lot. Not that he's screwing around, but he looks like he's having a very good time. He looks like he's in charge of everything. But one of the things I threw on, I did sort of a little bit of a mini practice report on our message board, the Huddle Board, Tony, presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus at BuckeyeHuddle.com. And one of the things that I had on there was it just was a very good day for the defensive ends, especially defensive line, but defensive ends in particular, where Kenyatta Jackson, you saw Kenyatta Jackson make some plays. You saw Caden Curry make some plays. I feel like we've done lots of talking about Kenyatta Jackson. We've not done as much talking about Caden Curry. He looks bigger this year. He looks stronger this year. He's been impressive. But then, Bo Atkinson has been good. But Bo Atkinson, if you've got Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry, you don't need Bo Atkinson to be the guy who's picking up 12 sacks. Maybe he is, but you don't need him to be that if you've got those other guys. He's been good when we've seen him, but he was with the twos more than the ones, I think, which that's probably a good sign because you kind of know what you're getting there. But he's been solid. But you got CJ Hicks today too, where I think at this point we say CJ Hicks and everyone kind of goes, all right, yeah, come on. It feels like they have found the spot for CJ Hicks, where it's like he's in a spot where he can really make a difference because you are seeing him flash with a little more consistency right now. Again, I'm not at the point where I'm willing to say like massive breakout season coming, but I could see a significant breakout season coming for him because it feels like he's now in a role where he can do the stuff that he's really good at doing. This is the stuff that Jim Knowles talked about last year. Like, CJ coming off the edge, he can really be a weapon. He now has put on a little bit more weight, so he can now hold up physically in that role a little bit more, but is still really quick off the edge.
Yeah, and I think we also need to talk about what is relative to being a breakout. Like 5.5 sacks in a rotational role for him would be a breakout season.
Oh, yeah.
Just being an impact guy like that. And we saw him in the spring. After practice, he would be talking with Matt Patricia. Like Matt Patricia would have his arm around him. They're talking about this, talking about that. After practice today, he and Ethan Oniano were out there working on sets and doing that sort of thing. So he is taking this very seriously, and it's something that he's wanted. And now that he's got it, we're obviously we'll see the best of him, but it's also going to be like, this is the only year you get to do this at Ohio State. So you're also asking a lot from him.
Yeah, there are some guys that you look at on the roster and you're like, how does this guy still have 3 years? Jason Moore, I looked at it. It's like Jason Moore has 3 years of eligibility. Like, really? It feels like he's been here forever. CJ Hicks is one where it's the opposite. You look, you're like, one more, really? Just one more year of eligibility? But he knows how his first 3 years at Ohio State went, and he made a very affirmative choice to stay at Ohio State this year for his final year of college when this is a contract year for him. This is a contract year for all the guys who are potentially headed off to the draft in a year. So he knows what's at stake for him. He's taking it very seriously. Who was it? I think we were talking about someone earlier in the week where you heard that Matt Patricia was coming in as Ohio State's defensive coordinator, and the first player they thought about was Laurinaitis. Yeah. The first player they thought about when they heard it was going to be Matt Patricia was CJ Hicks, because it's like, yeah, this guy knows what to do with a player like CJ Hicks.
Kevin, you got something?
We got lots of questions that we can get to.
Let's do it.
Start first with Terry. How exciting is the Texas game going to be?
How exciting is the Texas game going to be? I'll tell you what, if it doesn't get any warmer than it's been this weekend, everybody in this game, at least from the Ohio State side, is going to be down with cramps if it's warm that day. But if the weather's like this, I mean, this has been fantastic. But yeah, I'm like, how early is too early for one to set the alarm to get here? Like, I'm thinking I would like to be here by like 6:30. I know that's a tough ask. This is the downside of the 12 o'clock kick, but it's going to be big. It's going to be fun. Everybody's going to be here. Lee Corso's last game day thing. And it's like, there's a lot of reasons this is special, but there's some unique things going on, but also it's Ohio State versus Texas, perhaps 1 versus 2. The AP poll's coming out in a couple of weeks, maybe, or a week or so. I don't know. Maybe they should just do 1 versus 2 just to have the uniqueness as well. Like in terms of, we'll figure it out afterwards, but do you like starting it this way? Matt Patricia doesn't. He's like,
right.
I come from the NFL, I like preseason, but the only downside is the noon kick.
Yeah. No, I think you're starting the year with an absolute just bomb of a game. It is going to be a game that you hear about for the next month leading up to the game. It's going to be a game that you hear about for the whole rest of the season. You're going to be hearing about that game one way or another on the college football playoff selection shows all fall long. You are going to hear about this game on the final college football selection show on Selection Sunday. 100% guarantee you're going to hear about that game on that show. There are not very many games you can make a 100% guarantee about that. This is going to be one of the absolute biggest games of the year. And to start it with that, yeah, I mean, you'd like to have a game, I'm sure, like 1 week before where it's like, okay, let's play Grambling and Texas can go play Texas A&M Commerce, and then you can bring in the second game when you have had a little bit of a chance to get warmed up and you've sort of tested all your stuff out. The game is on the schedule for when the game is on the schedule. I was actually thinking about the day of that game, like this morning driving in, thinking like, well, the next time we're here for something of consequence, how early are we going to be there? We can have an editorial meeting about that at some point. But yeah, that's going to be a get here early, stay late. There's going to be a lot to talk about one way or the other. And the fun thing about that game, I think we need to also keep some things in perspective. That is not going to be a game that destroys someone's season.
Nope.
That is a game where you have potentially unlimited upside, and the downside is, well, you lost a game, but you have 11 more games, and you still have the margin of error where you can lose another game. You might be able to lose 2 more games, depending on how the season goes, and still make the college football playoff and still have a chance to play for the national championship. So, this is kind of Ohio State being in one of those situations where the SEC constantly gets the benefit of, well, it's 2 good teams, so the team that wins, they get a win and a half, and the team that loses, well, they only get like half a win because so it's like somehow this game has 2 wins coming out of it. That feels like that's what this game is going to be, where if Ohio State wins, the winner of this is probably functionally in the college football playoff unless something crazy happens. The loser of the game still very much alive and with some margin for error.
Kevin?
Yeah, Buckeye Mob 6. How has Philip Daniels looked? I haven't heard anything.
How has Philip Daniels looked? Have not heard anything. He's running with the 2s at right tackle pretty much from what we've seen.
Yeah.
I think he's Ian Moore is the number 3 offensive tackle. Philip Daniels is probably 4 right now, and I don't know that anybody's really pushing him at the moment. I don't think he's going to push for a regular spot this year. He's a guy that would be in the mix next year, but this year it's Ethan Oneonwa, it's Austin Seerveld, and Ian Moore is the next guy in. So you would think that next year it's Austin Sierreveld and Ian Moore, unless they need Austin Sierreveld at guard, so like there still can be some movement, but he's a ways behind in terms of getting on the field because he's got people in front of him. And again, redshirt freshman last year, started 4 games at the end of the season. That was not necessarily by design. That was by,
by necessity.
Right. And right now the design is we're going to take some time.
Right. There's no rush to get these guys on the field. He still has 3 years of eligibility left. So even if he doesn't play a down this year, he'll have 2 more years of eligibility left. And you're losing Ethan Onyeonwa after this season. If Austin Sierreveld's at the other tackle position, he's got 2 more years after this one. You've got Ian Moore has 3 more years after this one. So I think my takeaway on this would be Ohio State is potentially in pretty good shape at tackle for the next several seasons, and Philip Daniels is part of that conversation and part of the reason why that's the case.
Yeah, and then Carter Lowe had some moments today too, but
yeah,
again, no reason to put a freshman out there.
Well, yeah, a true freshman, absolutely not. He's Carter Lowe had one play where Zion Grady just kind of bull rushed him, and bent him back, and it was like that was to me a very big Zion Grady kind of play, because I remember when Nick Petit-Frere was a true freshman, and it was Alex Williams, who was a defensive end from Pickerington, who ended up transferring to Vanderbilt. There was a play where Alex Williams took Nick Petit-Frere and he did a back somersault because he got beat so bad off the ball. This was not anything like that, but as a true freshman at tackle, yeah, man, it's going to take some time in the weight room. It's going to take some time with the coaches. You're not ready yet. You don't want to have to put a true freshman out there. Ohio State is very fortunate to not be in that position, and that allows Carter Lowe time to develop and also be a part of that, why Ohio State's probably in pretty good shape at tackle for the next few years.
And yesterday, Carter Lowe just stood up Zion Grady in one of the reps that I saw. So it's every day you're talking about 2 true freshmen.
Yep.
Kevin?
Adam Baker, who is replacing Edric Houston with the starters?
Who is replacing Edric Houston with the starters right now, Tom?
So we have seen at the 3-tech spot, we saw both Tywan Malone and Jason Moore. I would say I saw a little more Malone with the ones than Jason Moore. So, and neither of them were huge, jump out at you, massive, showy performances. But you're also going against the interior of the Ohio State offensive line, which should be pretty good this year. So I didn't see anything that was this is a big concern, but I also didn't see anything that was this is a big wow. The biggest piece of news, I think, on that front is that after just walking every time we saw him yesterday, Edric Houston was jogging on and off the field today. I thought it was consequential enough that I put a 4 or 5 second video on Twitter, just hey, look, we promise, here's what he's doing. So progress there with Edric Houston already, slow, but just from day to day, from Thursday, everyone will be ready to jump off the roof, to Friday, it's probably okay, to Saturday, now he's jogging again. That feels like a pretty good trend line.
He has risen from the grave. Kevin?
Yeah, Sun City, Arizona Living with Aaron Serpola asks, do they look like they could be a championship team this year?
Tom, does this look like, when you watch these guys dropping passes out here, not able to complete 15 passes in a row, can't protect their quarterback every single time, does this, with all of the teams you've seen this year, does this look like a championship team to you? This is probably the best team you've seen this year. Also, Tom, is this the worst team you've seen this year?
I'm reminded of Ryan Day talking to when RJ Day, his son, is taking these visits. Ryan Day talked about going to spring ball, Clemson or somewhere, and talking to the coaches there. And whoever it was, the coach basically said, yeah, man, that first day of practice, you feel oh man, we're not going to win a game this year. And Ryan just kind of laughed. He was oh, thank goodness. Okay, I thought I was the only one that felt that way. Here's the short answer there. Yeah, it's an Ohio State team. Yeah, they could win the national championship this year. 100% they could win the national championship this year, because they are one of the 5-ish most talented teams in the country, and they have a lot of talent in a lot of crucial spots. I look at the offensive line. I feel like the offensive line's in pretty good shape. I look at the defensive line. I feel better about the defensive line now than I did 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And you just look at You have a Caleb Downs. Boy, a Caleb Downs makes up for a lot of whatever everywhere else. A Jeremiah Smith makes up for a lot of whatever everywhere else. You have a lot of opportunities that other teams don't have. So yeah, this is potentially a national championship team. Am I going to pick them to win the national championship? No, probably not. I'm certainly not going to pick them to go undefeated. But this is an Ohio State team. Probably any of the last how many years do you have to go back to an Ohio State team that could not have won the national championship with, slightly better fumble luck or turnover luck or weather or whatever?
I mean, is the answer like 2011 when that was the only time they wouldn't be making the playoffs?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could say 2017 had some, had significant enough flaws, but some of it also has to do with how good is everyone else, and how good is everyone else. I keep hearing it's a down year for quarterbacks. It's a down year for quarterbacks, and with Ohio State, there's still sort of a little bit of a question in terms of who that starting quarterback is, but the ceiling is potentially there for Ohio State at quarterback. So. And would you bet against a Ryan Day offense and a Brian Hartline coached wide receivers? Right. And I wouldn't.
Yeah, and you look at just position by position, you feel pretty good overall. Like, I think they're going to be very good at running back. Mm-hmm. Receivers, obviously, tight end might be the deepest room on the team in the country. Offensive line looks fine. Bunch of defensive ends, some defensive tackles that you like, but you can also kind of get around the lack of depth at defensive tackle at times by throwing in another defensive end or playing some three-man lines. Linebackers, I think, are going to be fantastic. Secondary is going to be very, very good. So, like, the biggest question is quarterback, where you've got the guys that you like. So, if not Ohio State, like, they're going to be one of those teams. And I'm not going to say they're going to win it, but they have as good a chance as anybody else in the top 5 or 10 that you had mentioned.
Well, you go through what are the odds right now? How many teams have better national championship odds than them? I can't think of.
Kevin says 2.
2? Okay, so they're tied with one of them. So yeah, I mean, you can go through and go, well, yeah, but they have this question and that question and that question. Go through any other team in the nation, and that team will also have similar questions or more.
Kevin?
Terry asks, who's next to lose their black stripe?
Ooh, who is next to lose their black stripe?
Well,
did anybody lose it today?
I did not see anyone today. I'll pull up the black stripe draft.
Has Devin Sanchez lost his yet?
I don't think
this is a good question. Bo Jackson would be a good pick. Mm-hmm. Again, Phillip Bell had a good day today. Bo Jackson is going to be tough to beat because he had one play where he ran to the left and he's running through kind of traffic. And then there's like 4 guys chasing him and they can't catch him. And they finally blew the whistle after like 35 yards because it's like, come on, we got to run another play.
We get it.
Yeah. We get it.
You made your point.
Enough.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the black stripe draft. Did anyone lose it this spring? Quincy Porter
did. I don't know that Devin Sanchez did.
I don't remember.
It may have just been Quincy Porter. So
yeah, Devin the guys who are kind of at the top of our black stripe draft are Devin Sanchez, Riley Pettyjohn, TJ Alford, Fahim Delane, Tavian St. Clair, Bo Jackson. Feeling pretty good about getting Bo Jackson 7th overall. I'm not going to lie to you about that. You had Eli Lee 8th.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
We should redo this draft.
You had Isaiah West 9th.
I have Turbo Rogers.
I had Zion Grady 10th. I had Carter Lowe 11th. You had Turbo Rogers 17th. So
Summer and Rowley, they always fall to the back of the draft.
I had Phillip Bell 18th. Not feeling too bad about that one. So
I don't like the black stripe draft.
Will I win the black stripe draft again for the 4th straight year? Listen, I don't know. Anything could happen, including the same thing that always happens.
Thanks for the question. The answer is Bo Jackson.
Thank you for the question.
Jeff Johnson, any chance Lee Corso doesn't don the Buckeye headgear?
Any chance Lee Corso doesn't don the Buckeye headgear? I mean, I think it would certainly be poetic for him to end his thing with the same way he started his thing. And I'm sure you're going to have plenty of people on that stage picking Texas. So then that keeps you from getting memed with where everyone picked Texas. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, and again, I think I said this in the past, in a year where John Cena has turned heel, don't sleep on Lee Corso pulling up the Brutus head and then being like, not quite like he did at Houston, where he's like,
yeah,
blanket,
yeah,
but like
yeah,
tossing it and like, give me that Longhorns head,
yeah.
and just one last time out there. But
Does he want to go off the stage getting booed in his final appearance?
But that's also something you would have to respect. Now, will they respect it at the time? No.
Yeah, no.
But I think the answer is when his announcement, when he made the announcement that he was retiring and he's going to do one last game, the obvious answer was he needs to do it at Ohio State. There were people that thought, well, maybe it'll be Alabama, Florida State because he's a Seminole. It's like, no. The obvious answer is to do it at Ohio State, pick Ohio State one last time, and then ride off into the sunset.
Yeah. That would be sort of how you would write it. I mean, we'll see how the analysis of the game shakes out.
And then on Fox, Dave Portnoy will be making a pick. What I would like to see him put on his head is a lawnmower. No.
Pizza. We got two more, unless we get a super chat. El Suzabo, do y'all think we have a better chance to win the Texas game earlier in the season or later? Early, then don't have any scouting on us. Late, we're playing together better. Thoughts?
That's a good question. Is it better to play Texas early in the season before there's a ton of scouting that Texas can do? I think there's a lot of value in Ohio State's defense not showing anything prior to playing against Texas's offense. But is that more valuable than getting the quarterbacks at Ohio State enough, an opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a lower scoring game at the beginning of the season because you don't really know what the Ohio State offense is going to look like. Texas doesn't know what the Ohio State defense is going to look like. Ohio State has just played Texas's offense, but how different is the offense going to be with Arch Manning versus Quinn Ewers? So, I think my strongest take here is that it's going to be a lower scoring game earlier in the season than if they play later in the season. I guess that favors, I mean, I don't know. How are you feeling about Texas's defense? Because it's just Texas's defense. It's like they lost their interior of their defensive line. They lost some of the really talented players in the back end of the defense. I think that is in Ohio State's best interest early, I think, but there's just, if Jim Knowles is here, it feels like the answer might be different than with a brand new defense with Matt Patricia.
I think I'm going to go with early in the season as well, like to open. I wonder what Ryan Day would say. Maybe that's something we can ask him, but I don't know that you're going to get an answer.
Then he's going to tell you that the game's on the schedule when the game's on the schedule. So it's a great question that we can answer, and he will never choose to.
Kevin,
last one from Ty Kroner. Of all the transfer players, who has seemed to adjust the best so far? I've been hearing a lot of praise for C.J. Donaldson.
Yeah, of all the transfer players, who has adjusted the best? He's heard a lot of praise of C.J. Donaldson. And Bo Atkinson has just gotten here in the last, post spring.
Couple months, yeah.
It is interesting when these guys come in, they are welcomed and they're made to feel welcome, and then they pretty much get along. But they're all, working in the weight room and needing each other. But I would agree with the C.J. Donaldson thing. He's come in and they need that veteran aspect in the running back room because they don't have it. So him there is valuable in a number of ways. But he had a pretty good spring. He's continued to show up out here as well. Eli Brickhandler, Tom, He did not do much today because they were just going with the scrimmaging with the three quarterbacks. But I'd say, C.J. Donaldson, and then, Bo Atkinson is doing his thing. And Philip Daniels, we talked about earlier, he's still trying to feel his way. He had the West Virginia transfer lineman who is still,
Justin Terry.
Terry still just feeling his way. But would you agree it's Donaldson?
I think Max Clare is probably the one that would be. I mean,
that guy.
Yeah,
there's so many tight ends.
He's been here long enough that I feel like we've been talking about him so long. He was here he was there at the Cotton Bowl. I feel like he was basically here last year. So, I think you'd go Max Clare, C.J. Donaldson, Bo Atkinson in some order. One that I wouldn't sleep on is Jackson Corville, the kicker transfer from Ball State. I don't know what the plan is there yet. I think they're probably still figuring it out to a certain degree. This is far from scientific, but when I've been watching, he's been very, very good in practice. Jaden Fielding's been good too. It's not, this is not like, oh, one's been bad, but Jackson Corville has come in and immediately, for whatever it's worth in practice, has looked pretty good when I've been watching.
Now, I both got to see them both kick 52 yarders in this last 11 on 11 portion at the end of practice. And I'm watching from the side, and both were waved off wide right, but they've got the goalpost, then they've got the interior goalpost.
Yes.
So I don't know if they were outside of the interior.
I think they are just measuring on the inside because they have one end of the field where they have, maybe I'll run out and take a picture of that after and throw it on our board, but they have a set of goalposts where there's like an interior set of goalposts that are maybe half the width of the other ones, because they don't want you to have to just barely do it. Before practice, I saw them out there kicking, and they were trying to hit the uprights, and like hitting the uprights with like shocking regularity from 35, 40 yards out. So, these are guys who are very, very, very talented at what they do.
There's a pretty decent cross breeze too. So they were definitely having to work it. Tom, anything else before we get out of here? I think we're going to have a bunch of our thoughts and views on the Buckeye Huddle message board, and I'll write up a practice report as well once I eventually get somewhere where I can do that. But go ahead and check that stuff out at the Buckeye Huddle message board presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus tonight. No, I cut you off, Tom. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say, or are you just going to tell people to go to the board?
I was just going to tell people to go to the board, but you already cut me off. So
there you go. Thank you for sticking with us. For all of you who dropped after we got the switch from Marc Juck, I'll talk to you people later, but thank you for the chats, the super chats, and all of that. And we will talk to you guys later.